Divisional round recap. Today is Saturday, recording this at nighttime. And two games just finished. The Chiefs beat the Jaguars 27-20, and the Eagles beat the Giants 38-7. I want to start with the Chiefs and Jaguars game first because it was the most entertaining game of the day. And I just want to get your guys' thoughts on it before we do that. How's your Saturday going, guys?
My Saturday's going good. Eagles won. We're gonna talk about the Chiefs and Jags first. My Saturday's going good. I wonder about you guys. We had an Eagles fan, we got a Giants fan here. That was the more interesting game to me, at least for pick a side.
You know what? I appreciate you grouped me in as a Giants fan because you know what?
No, you're
There
the
were
Giants
there were
fan on the
very
show.
there were very few, very few, and to accomplish what they did, of course, I'm happy to be a part of that group for sure. But not a bad Saturday. Was able to cope a little bit. Was able to cope through ways of gambling. Shout out to our boys over at Boom Fantasy. But really. But what really was unfortunate really was seeing Patrick Mahomes go on to the next round. I'm definitely happy that it seems like he's okay. The x-rays were negative, but really that's what I would have liked to see the most, truthfully.
My Saturday was fantastic. I mean, Chiefs-Jaguars game. That game was such a blast. And I tried Mojo's liquid player props today. I won some. With Travis Kelce, I won big time because I took the over on his receptions. And I kept getting paid more because the line was at 7. And then he finished with 14. He went up 100%. And you want to know what's crazy? Boston Scott, if you would have placed money on him to score a touchdown in this game, which he's had, I think, 11 in his career now, he went up 350%.
Damn.
Yeah,
That's
against the
crazy.
Giants, he's a murderer. He's a murderer.
So I was
He
playing
loves
around
them
with
Giants.
I was playing around with the player props. I had a lot of fun. I made some money. I think I returned about like 10% of my money. So that was good. And we saw the Eagles do what they were supposed to do to the Giants. And we saw Danny Dimes turn into Danny Nichols. And all those people, it's funny because we released a recap to the Giants and Vikings video right as it happened. Everybody in the comments, give the Giants their credit. Daniel Jones still got to go execute. You see what happens when he's up against an actual great team. The Vikings were a laughing stock. And I went in the comments of the Eagles and Giants recap, and they was slamming my boy Riv. They was like, stop acting like it's this huge gap in terms of rosters. And it had the most likes on the video.
That was ridiculous.
So we
that was a crazy comment. That was a crazy comment.
You picked the Giants. You picked the Giants. No, but for real.
No, I picked the Giants for sure. But in terms of rosters, that was never in doubt. The Eagles were always the better team, but the better team doesn't always win, except 100%. Today.
So I just think it's funny. We release these videos fast and people give their opinions, rightfully so. And, they call us out when we're wrong. So let's call them out when they're wrong.
No, fair enough. I'm also part of them being wrong also, but not like that. Not like that. Never. The roster was never comparable.
I thought this was a team of destiny, though.
See, that's one thing I'm willing to see. Look, we wanted to talk about the Chiefs and Jags. I knew this was going to turn into talking about the Giants first. So can we just do that? Can we talk about the Giants first?
We didn't even get through Riv's day and how he was.
That's true.
You started talking. Your day was mostly just
my day was reassuring me that Daniel Jones is good. He's not nothing else. He's that. That's it.
Know what? Hey,
my day was fantastic.
I'm fine with that. You made a fine statement. I'm very happy with the statement you just made. Because you know what? You're not oblivious, and I'm cool with. Or you're not trying to speak something that isn't the truth.
Oh, that's all I've been saying. All I've been saying, he's good. I haven't said.
You just called him Danny Nichols.
He was Danny Nichols tonight. He was throwing nickels out there.
That's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm wondering. See, so you think Daniel Jones played bad? See, this is why. Do we want to talk about the Chiefs?
He completed 55% of his passes.
Do we want to talk about the Chiefs and Jaguars, or do we want to talk about the Giants? We want to talk about the Giants.
All right.
Yeah,
you want to?
Well, for starters, my day was great.
No. That's obviously we needed to talk. We need to hear that.
My day was great. I went to the gym. Just watched some football. Yeah, just wanted to get out there. I had a great day today. Just FYI, I'm not going to slander anybody today.
So I guess we'll talk about. the.
By the way, over
first.
30 minutes. Over 30 minutes, undoubtedly.
No doubt. So we'll talk about the Giants and the Eagles game, 38-7. It was not close. I mean, we previewed this game on the last football pod, and we all thought it was going to be comfortable. I'm not sure about Dehls because, Dehls be flipping more than usual nowadays. I mean, God, on Twitter, he said that all I've been saying all along about Daniel Jones is that I'd wait to pay him. Bro, you just said last recap that he has no flaws.
Oh
I still said I'd wait a
You
year to
said
pay him.
he has great traits and he has no flaws. Now you're saying
He
you'd
does
wait
have
to
great
pay him?
traits.
Come on.
I'd still
Mr.
doesn't
Flip
mean I don't
aside, I'm
wait to pay
catching on
him.
to you, Dehls. I'm catching on to you. Shout out to
Joel,
my brother.
first and foremost, that's a cute pillow in the background. I just realized.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
You get
Great
some good
back
back
support.
support right now?
Phenomenal, actually.
So I just thought, listen, the Eagles are a way better team than the Giants. That's all it is. I didn't even take notes for this game. I really did not because they dominated every single facet. The Giants could not run the ball when you asked Andy Jones to drive back and pass. Once pressure came there wasn't really many places to go with the ball, but there were some times where he would miss open receivers because he's a player that Brian Daboll has dialed up great plays for him all season. And he goes, okay, these two should be open based on this coverage. And then when those things are not open, Daniel Jones, he just doesn't look as good when he has to anticipate at a high level. And after that first interception that James Bradbury had on Daniel Jones, you could see every throw after that, Daniel Jones was kind of hesitating. He wasn't trusting the breaks on the routes. So I thought Daniel Jones didn't have a good game. I didn't expect him to have a good game. This is the Eagles defense we're talking about. They can lock up your receivers. They can lock up your run game. So I thought this performance by him was predictable. And the Eagles dominated their offensive line. I didn't think the Giants' defensive line was able to do much most of the game. Devontae Smith came up big. Jalen Hurts was running the ball, and I thought that was a positive sign. And I loved that Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni dialed up a shot play for Jalen Hurts early in the game. That first drive, let's get you going. Let's get that shoulder loose. Let's draw up a shot play. So I loved all of that. But this is just a common story of a way better team beating up on a team that lacked talent. The Giants and Giants fans should be proud of this season. There is no doubt. Them going to the Super Bowl, that was always a doubt. That was never going to happen at all. And for as much praise we're going to give the Giants and their season, Brian Daboll is a great coach. Joe Shane has made some good moves. There's a lot of question marks because a lot of players are free agents. Saquon Barkley is a free agent. Daniel Jones is a free agent. I don't know if they're going to pay those two. I don't know what's going to happen, but there is a question mark about their future because if they pay Daniel Jones and they don't pay Saquon, now that eliminates your running game. How can you replace Saquon? I don't know. Can Daniel Jones select the same quarterback if he doesn't have Saquon? I don't know. And Daniel Jones, you can't get off from him. He's the best option you have currently available. So it's going to be an offseason with a lot of questions. I'm going to be curious to see how they handle it. But this was a fantastic season, and they exceeded expectations 100%. And the Eagles, it's going to be a very good matchup versus the 49ers or the Cowboys. I think it's the Cowboys, so we're going to see. But it's going to be an awesome matchup. I can't wait.
I'm just going to go next, boys. I'm assuming that's okay. First and foremost, congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. They'll be going to the NFC Championship game. They've been arguably the best team in football the entire season, and they continue to be dominant today. This wasn't even a contest. No way around it. Giants simply were just not on the Eagles' level from the start. And it really started early when the Giants decided to go for it on 4th and 8, and obviously in Eagles territory, so it wasn't insane, but it was kind of insane for the fact that it was 4 and 8. Why don't you just take the points? That's the only thing that I would have liked, especially early on, give your guys a boost to say that you're getting on the scoreboard. They go for it. Horrible, horrible play. Ends up giving the ball back to Philadelphia. Philadelphia's offense basically was rolling the entire day. Whether it was passing the football, running the football, Miles Sanders looked like a superstar again. He was unbelievable. Kenny Gainwell in his opportunities, he made the most of it, had over 100 yards rushing. But Smitty, Goddard, these two guys carried in the passing game as well. And more importantly, I'm just happy to see that Jalen Hurts looks like this injury is not even a concern. He was talking earlier this weekend saying that he won't be 100%. He's nowhere near 100%. I mean, he looked damn near close to 100 today. He looked phenomenal. But that also goes into the offensive line. They barely allowed any pressure. At one point, I think the Giants late in the fourth only had gotten 3 pressures on Jalen Hurts. I mean, the offensive line was amazing. But all around, great game plan. Nick Sirianni drew up a great game plan for Jalen Hurts, and he executed to basically perfection. To speak about the Giants, of course, because that's what you guys want to hear. I have mixed emotions because, yes, Brian Daboll is one of the primary reasons why the Giants were able to have so much success. And Daniel Jones as well, why he was able to succeed. But I would be remiss to say that Brian Daboll coached a good game. If you think that Brian Daboll coached a good game today, you're out of your mind. To go for it on 4th and 8 there was very bold. And then ironically, to not go for it on 4th and 8 on 4th down in the 4th quarter to give the ball back to the Eagles, and then basically not see the ball for the rest of the game, essentially because the Eagles basically ran out the clock. It seemed as if they dominated that ball the entire 4th quarter. And the Giants weren't able to get back onto the field. The Eagles just ran the clock, and that was basically the game right there. So it was just crazy to me how you go for it on 4th and 8 when it's a clear situation that you should just take the points. But in the situation where you have to go, you're down by 3 scores, you decide to give the ball back to the Eagles, where you understand your defense can't stop a nosebleed right now. That was interesting to me. Of course, to talk about Daniel Jones, I wouldn't say he had a good game, no way, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you he had a bad game. The pressure was in his face essentially the entire game. The right side of the offensive line is simply not good. Evan Neal has to come back next season and be better. Saquon Barkley, it was unfortunate they weren't able to establish the run game earlier. It was very obvious that once that they got the run game going, but at that point it was way too late. And by they got the run game going, it was that one drive that they ended up scoring a touchdown where Brian Daboll, to his credit, that was a very great play call to win the Wildcat to give the ball to Saquon to hand it off to Breida. That was very good. But outside of that, I mean, these receivers simply are not good enough. You mentioned the Daniel Jones interception. That's an obvious timing route. Darius Slayton runs a route where he's kind of like fading away instead of staying more towards the middle of the field. James Bradbury makes a great break onto the ball. Of course, you got to blame Daniel. He threw the interception, but really, what is Darius Slayton doing there? It's an obvious issue between timing and between the receiver and the quarterback. That was a bad play. Plays that I look at, that one doesn't matter because at the time, of course, the game's already over, but it really just kind of sums up the entire Giants wide receiver core. The throw to Richie James where he's basically wide open. Daniel Jones hits him right in the hands, right in stride. It just dropped. Richie James just not able to bring it in. The Giants need a true wide receiver one. There's obvious holes onto this roster. They need to better the offensive line. They need to bring in a linebacker, and they need to address the wide receiver. I mean, this game highlighted all of these issues, but primarily you need to go out and give Daniel Jones a guy that he can trust and rely on. A guy who I've been praising week in, week out since he's been onto the roster was Isaiah Hodgins. He had 1 catch today. He was clamped up basically the entire game. And you mentioned it, how Daniel Jones isn't able to make plays if the first and second guy aren't open. What are you supposed to do when you're pressured immediately before you can even see the second option? And really, they took away his run game because they had a spy. Daniel Jones wasn't able to do anything with his legs, truthfully. So, yes, of course, I'm not going to sit here and say Daniel's not completely to blame. He was not good. But I'm not going to sit here and say that Daniel Jones was bad. In my opinion on Daniel Jones is going to change because of this. It was clearly a matchup difference. The Eagles were simply better, and they completely dominated this game. No way around it.
Was Brian Daboll bad?
He had his moments of being bad for sure.
Did Daniel Jones have his moments of being bad?
He did.
I don't think, me personally, I didn't think this game would be close just because of the difference of talent. I thought the Eagles were much better, and the score showed it. But I don't think Daboll gets blamed for this game at all. I mean, I think the offensive line was crumbling. When you have 4 to 5 guys who have 10-plus sacks and are continuing to give pressure, plus a line with insane depth, that's hard, especially for a rookie. That's just tough on the offensive line. Then when you have the number 1 pass defense in the NFL against guys who are just not number 1s, number 2s, usually on a regular football team, a talented one at that, that's also a struggle. I think this really is not on Daboll. I think this is just a clear one team was just far better than the other team. And then you talk about offensively, the Eagles were rolling. I mean, they didn't have many stops. Like, they were just consistently drive after drive, getting whatever they want, running the ball down their throats. Offensively, like you mentioned it, where Hurts got to go, and Devonta just completely burned them. And that was a quick, easy one. I knew it would be over after that because it was just so simple. The drive was just so easy offensively. So I don't give Dable too much blame because at the end of the day, he had a lot go. Like that Viking game fooled a lot of people into thinking this team, he can outcoach a team with a good coach and an elite roster. And I don't think that's Dable yet. I think when you go in to play against the Eagles, a team who has a top-notch coach and elite talent at damn near every position, that's hard. I mean, Saquon tried. Daniel Jones tried. He missed some dots. He missed some guys. But at the end of the day, there was pressure that he hasn't seen in a while in his face. That was a scary defense. And I understand it. So you definitely got to keep the blame off Dable just for this game alone because the disparity in talent was just too much.
This was my first miss of the playoffs. Thought this was going to be a close game. It wasn't a close game. I agree with Riv, though. I think it's really hard because we have two extremes with Daniel Jones right now. We have the extreme playing the Minnesota Vikings, who are the worst pass defense in the NFL, and we have the extreme of the Philadelphia Eagles, who have the best pass defense in the NFL and one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, if not the best. So we have these two extremes where you could look at Daniel Jones against the Vikings and say, that's his best game as a pro ever, in his biggest moment, in his first playoff game. And then you could say, well, when he played real competition or a real playoff level team, because the Vikings were a solid team, but we all looked at them like they were the second seed, or the third seed, but nobody really feared them. Like half the panel here picked the Giants to win. We didn't see them as this real threat like we did with the Eagles. So when Daniel Jones goes in, against a real threat in our eyes and has this type of game, I don't think he played well. I don't think he played well. I thought he missed multiple throws, especially the one down the sideline to I think that was Slayton, which could have easily been a touchdown if he hits him in stride. You do have the reasoning though with the offensive line. I mean, the entire time he was under pressure, right? So it's going to be hard this offseason, and I have been saying it all season. I know Joel, you're going to come with all of this flip aside, blah blah blah.
You
I've
said it
been
last
saying it
show.
all year. I've been saying it since fucking probably week 4 or 5. Like Daniel Jones had a really good year. When he was having his good season, I said I would just like to see one more year of this. The fact that you have to pay and decide on Daniel Jones right now is not ideal. The fact that you have to make a decision to either franchise tag him, and I understand people like, oh, just tag him. Like you do understand if you franchise tag him, that is the average of the top 5 salaries in the NFL at quarterback. You're going to be paying Daniel Jones $40 million for one season. When you have other free agents like Saquon and you have a ton of holes, like this Giants team, we call them, the most overachieving team. And part of that is because they have a ton of holes on this team. So if you want to franchise tag Daniel Jones for 1 year just to see, you're taking a huge salary cap hit this season when you have a bunch of guys to re-sign and a bunch of guys you want to bring onto the team to help fill up this roster. So, like I mentioned, it's Daniel Jones. I probably overreacted a bit against the Vikings, saying he had no flaws. There's some things he has to work on, without a doubt. I don't think there's much better out there on the market. Like, I don't know, would you rather go trade a second round pick to get Derek Carr, or do you have Daniel Jones here and see if it could work out when you have to pay them around the same amount of money? So I think it's just two extremes, and it's unfortunate that this is the way it ends, having the Vikings and Eagles back to back. It would have been better if we could see some sort of medium to get a better idea of Daniel Jones. But all in all, you have to be happy if you're a Giants fan. If you're an Eagles fan, I didn't talk anything about them, but Jalen Hurts didn't have to do anything really. Like he had some nice throws for sure, but the biggest thing was they kept him clean. He didn't get pressured. He wasn't hit too much, and that was the biggest thing. He was able to rest at the end of the game. You want him healthy next week going up against Dallas or San Francisco, which is going to be a 10 times harder test than this Giants game was. So, Jalen Hurts in his limited 24 attempts, 16 completions, he was efficient, but he wasn't really tested like he will be next week.
I mean, it was
sorry.
We could go.
I just wanted to say this one thing because I forgot to say it earlier. Because talk about Jalen Hurts, I've been teetering on I think most of us have been teetering on is he a franchise quarterback? Can he be the guy? Because we wanted to wait to see it in the playoffs, and this game obviously wasn't it for most of us because we didn't think this would be the game that would come down to the wire and show him what he really is. I think next week though it will be against whether it's the Niners or the Cowboys. It really doesn't matter. Both teams are elite, top of the NFC. That would be the game that definitely decides on the label of if Jalen Hurts is a franchise quarterback. I think because those are two top teams in the NFC.
What you just said, Dehls, is exactly what's been happening with Hurts all season. He hasn't had to do much. And there's been some moments.
But throughout the season, he's made impressive throw after impressive throw.
No doubt.
And stood up when he needed to. This game, he just didn't have to.
In the regular season, what was the toughest opponent that he beat?
He smoked the Vikings.
He didn't beat Dak.
Dallas.
He
Beat Cooper Rush.
Dallas.
He beat
He
Cooper
played
Rush.
Dallas' defense. Dallas's defense.
You're right. That was a great, fantastic performance, and even then, it was more so a great rushing performance all around. Passing,
I mean, he was 13-1. Like, what else do you want?
No, yeah, I know, but I'm saying that this is not a. This is where you have. This is where I feel like there has to be a middle ground here. Jalen Hurts has been awesome all season. He was awesome tonight. I thought he was really good tonight. Mm-hmm. At the same time, you understand this Eagles roster is loaded. Jalen Hurts is not asked to do much. He's playing great. He's doing what he's doing. There's no knock on that. But the Eagles are just an overwhelming favorite over every single opponent they face so far. And the first test they're going to have is really the NFC Championship. And you take that as a team. If the first real test you're going to have is the championship game to get to the Super Bowl, you take that. The Giants was not a test. They beat the brakes off of them week 14. We knew this was going to happen. This was not a test.
So are you saying Hurts is not a main factor? Because we lost to the Saints with Gardner Minshew.
The Saints defense is elite, but definitely Jalen Hurts changes how the offense looks that game. But the Saints defense was elite this year, and they finished off very strong. But yeah,
they finished.
What I'm
maybe
saying,
you could say they finished elite. They hadn't been elite all year.
No, they finished even stronger to end the season, but they were elite all year. Pass defense, they've been a top 5 pass defense the entire season.
Well, not when Lattimore was out.
But Jalen Hurts is great. I'm not knocking him. He's great, but the Eagles have a great roster, and
two things can be true.
It's gonna be very interesting to see what happens in the NFC Championship game, because I think the Eagles should be the favorite to come out. I mean, you look at any sports books or the betting favorite, it's the Eagles for a reason. They have the most Pro Bowlers on their team. There are players that did not make the Pro Bowl on their team that should be Pro Bowlers. This team is stacked. It's stacked.
I'm just not going to sit here and allow Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying you're hating. It can come across like you're hating.
It's like you don't have to bring up the roster. Like,
no, but just like, bro,
MVP.
At what point are we gonna realize that?
He was not the MVP over Mahomes. What are you talking about?
He was quite literally the betting favorite for MVP.
So you thought he was a better player than Mahomes this past year?
No one's saying that he's a better player. He just simply
he's not the better player.
Without being the best.
Did he play better than Mahomes this past season?
He was having a top.
He did not. Okay.
No,
I don't care what he was having. I don't care what he was having. What do you think?
He didn't. No, Mahomes was the most valuable player.
Okay. That's it. Mahomes was the most valuable player. That's it.
But Joel, listen, again, the best player doesn't always win the award.
Hurts being number 2 is not a bad thing. I'm just saying you have to.
The Eagles would take a top 3 quarterback. This all
started from saying that Hurts all year. There really hasn't been a roster that's tested the Eagles. It's not just Hurts. You know, I said Jalen Hurts' name specifically, but it's really the Eagles all around. There has not been a roster that has really tested this team.
Bro. When you have arguably the most talented roster in the league, there's only going to be 3 or 4 teams that we're going to look at as real competition, and half of them are going to be in the AFC.
Of course.
So the only other teams are the Cowboys and the 49ers. They didn't play the Niners, and they beat the Cowboys with Dak and lost without Jalen Hurts. What more can you really want? Smoked Minnesota, who was a 3 seed.
But Minnesota, we know their defense is horrible.
Wait, so
Minnesota's not a challenge.
What more could they have done?
Are the same excuses for Dallas and the Niners? Because Dallas had around the same schedule also. Their schedule wasn't that.
The Niners competition was the Chiefs, and they got smoked. I don't hear anything about that.
For the Niners, yes, Drew, last episode said that the Niners have had an easy path. Did I give you any pushback for that, Drew?
I just didn't hear you ever bring that up. That's why it's kind of weird.
It's not. It's about bringing it up to praise the Eagles, because they're such a great roster, and to showcase they haven't really beaten anybody this year or been tested to the brink. It just hasn't happened this year. The game we were all looking forward to was versus Dallas when Dak Prescott was healthy. But Gardner Minshew played that game, and it's not the same at that point. You know, the Eagles, they're a great team, no doubt, but we're not going to act like this roster isn't what it is. It is what it is.
There's literally one NFC team we would look at as an impressive win for Philly, and that's the Niners. So how could they?
Joel, I mean, you said it perfectly. Joel said it absolutely perfect. We cannot blame them for looking dominant all season. That's not a them problem. That's a rest of the league problem.
I'm not blaming them for looking dominant.
You're holding it against them. You're not blaming them. You're holding it against them.
Am I holding it against how?
Yes.
How am I holding it against
You're
them?
saying they don't have any
Because
impressive wins.
It's holding you back from fully acknowledging that Jalen Hurts is good because they just have looked so dominant. You would never say that about another elite quarterback in the league.
I literally said he's been playing great.
No, absolutely. But then what's the issue with doubting him and not wanting to give him full acknowledgement?
When did I say I doubted him?
So then why are we even having conversation about Jalen Hurts doesn't have to do much? Because what you're sounding like, maybe it's saying, right? Maybe it's not what you're saying, but it's how you're coming across. Perspective.
Dehls said Hurts didn't have to do much this game. And I said, yes. It's kind of been like that all season.
But
you're making it sound like a knock.
It's kind of been like that all
Wait,
season.
so can I actually sound
like a knock? True or false, Joel?
Joel,
True or false?
The best offense.
Does that not sound like a knock?
It sounds like the truth of what happened.
So Joel
doesn't take away that he's great. Yes, he's great.
Joel, can I ask you a question? You have Dallas going to the Super Bowl because their defense is elite. So can I ask, what offense has really tested the Dallas Cowboys defense this season?
I have Dallas going to Super Bowl because I think this is the year for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys to make it out the NFC.
I'm glad you really have changed your tune on Dak, man. It really makes me feel good.
That's why I have them. The Eagles, I already said the Eagles will be the favorite next week, whoever they play, the Niners or the Cowboys. The reasoning for the Cowboys is that I think they will beat the Eagles if they play them. I do. I think Dak Prescott has already shown he can do his thing against that Eagles defense. And I think this Cowboys defense and Dan Quinn have gotten better since the first time they played where the Eagles ran all over them.
30. He put up 30 points.
I like the Cowboys, but I like the Cowboys. That's who I'm picking. But I'm not.
You said
they gotta get past the Niners first, man. But
Dak Prescott has had to go through more adversity than Jalen Hurts this year. When we're talking about the roster, they've been shuffling their offensive line all season long. Michael Gallup just came on the scene. CeeDee Lamb has been him the entire season. There's no doubt. Dalton Schultz was injured to start the year. I mean, Dak Prescott has had to go through more turmoil on his side of the ball. So
can't forget the fact that he also got hurt. He's also coming back from injury, and he has
no doubt
has been playing great football.
Yeah, it's not a knock on Hurts. It's just the truth of what him and the Eagles have faced this far.
And you know what? Maybe that's on me for assuming. You know what they say about assuming. So, but it's just perspective, of course.
I'm sorry, Drew. Pardon me. I just don't want next week to happen. The Eagles dominate either one of these teams, and then you say, "Well, the team is stacked."
That won't happen.
Yeah,
all right. No, Riff perfectly said. Riff perfectly said. Joel, what happens if that happens?
Hypothetically,
if assuming they dominate, which they won't, but assuming they dominate, this team is that much more dominant than I originally thought. But also, if they dominate, it's because Jalen Hurts is going to have to pick apart and embarrass the 49ers defense.
So, do you believe that he can?
No.
There it is. See, that's why I understand you, Joel. And you can fucking fool. You can fool the rest of these fucking people listening around the world.
No, it's not like that.
You cannot fool me because I understand how you think about Jalen Hurts.
I literally said, do I think he can go there and embarrass the Niners defense? No, he can't embarrass them. Can he play well against them? Yes. Do I think he'll have this?
Oh my God! Pick a fucking side.
What do you mean pick a side?
Jesus
What do you mean?
Christ.
I never said he was gonna have a stinker.
And Jalen Hurts play well enough that the Eagles can dominate. You just said no.
Yes, because the Eagles will not dominate either team they play.
But you just said that Jalen Hurts won't play well. So it's more so on defense than it is about Jalen Hurts.
Oh my!
I'm wondering.
I never said that he wouldn't play well. I never said that. In this hypothetical situation, you asked me if I think that the Eagles would dominate San Fran or Dallas. I said no, that will not happen. If
it's
they
hard
play,
to do that.
It will be a very close game. And you said,
Joel,
do I think Hurts is capable of dominating and making those defenses look embarrassing? And I said no, because I don't think those defenses will allow themselves to get embarrassed.
Really?
That way.
So Jarrett Stidham, who absolutely blew up on the Niners.
It was one game. That's not the Niners. I don't
no,
care
for
about
sure.
the game.
For sure. Of course, Tua did not look the greatest, so I won't use him as an example, of course. But the only other true test that they had, and I feel like the Chiefs absolutely smoked them like cigars.
Yeah, the Chiefs blew.
If the Eagles beat the 49ers, it's going to be more because Brock Purdy had a bad game than the defense having a bad game. I stand on that 100%.
That's a who knows?
I mean, it's a safe statement. It's a safe statement.
It's not a safe statement. That is their defense is that good.
No,
That's
it's a safe statement, of course, because the
great.
defense is great, and it's a last Mr. Irrelevant pick. So, it's a safe statement to make. I mean, of course,
it's not disrespectful to say that Jalen Hurts can't dominate the number 1 ranked defense in the league.
I don't think so. No.
That's all I'm saying.
He's not capable.
That's
he's capable
my
of doing
issue.
it. I think if it's unlikely, like that defense is
correct.
For real. I'm not expecting Hurts to dominate the Cowboys or the 49ers. I think he'll be efficient and play his type of ball, but correct. I'm not expecting him to put up 400 total yards and 3 touchdowns. Saying he's not capable of it, that's a different conversation. He's capable of it. I just think those 49ers, that 49ers Cowboys defense are going to be too good to let that happen.
Using these buzzwords like capable of it makes you come on here last week and say Daniel Jones, what's wrong with him? He got no flaws. He got no flaws. I don't care about these buzzwords. I don't care about these buzzwords. I don't think Jalen Hurts will dominate those elite defenses. That's it. I don't care about the capable. Do I think he will do it? No, he will not.
There's a difference between the two.
I need him to do it.
Win. It's not because these defenses are going to collapse and be embarrassing. No, absolutely not.
You've been down Hurts for a while, man. Don't let him prove you wrong.
You have not even stamped him as a franchise quarterback yet.
Yeah, Joel, can you just do it? Joel, just do it.
Listen, Hurts has always been my franchise.
Then say it.
He's always been. Come on.
This is why Drew.
You guys always want to deviate from the process. Tua has 3 good games. Drew comes with a black book. Boom, top 5. Like, you guys have all these crazy things. Like, I just like to see a full season. I was calling Jalen Hurts a franchise quarterback last season. Like, you already know I was after that.
Joel, stop. No one is buying that.
We could go back and run the tape. I had said that 100%.
He's lying.
No, he's lying. Your honor, he's capping.
And now, you know, this why you say what you want about Drew. This why I would defend Andrew Velez on this show. It doesn't matter if everybody disagrees with him. He will say, yo, this guy is legit. Daniel Jones, Tua, doesn't matter. Jared Goff, he will stamp them. Jalen Hurts has proved himself at an elite level week by week. You go here through a temper tantrum because I say they haven't really faced hard competition all year long, yet you haven't stamped them as an elite franchise quarterback. So I don't want to hear that.
He was my MVP.
He was your MVP, and even still, you said, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and say he's a franchise quarterback. You got to show it in the playoffs.
I have my process. He got to finish out the year. I'll be honest. It don't matter what he does. He's already a franchise quarterback.
Of course,
I just like to give him. I like to give him the full 17 games and the playoffs, like I do with anybody else. Like
I'm glad week 20 we came here.
Jalen Hurts is my guy. And the fact that I'm waiting this long, like, this is how I do it. I'm not just going to give a guy a franchise label of 4 or 5 good weeks. Just same shit I did for Tua. I didn't say about Daniel Jones or any Geno Smith. We had people saying give him $35 million. Like,
I never said that. Nobody ever said that. Nobody ever said $35 million.
Joel,
nobody ever said that.
And don't say false things. And don't say false things to be right. Don't do that.
I'm not. I will.
Don't do that.
I know the exact video too. I'll find it.
Oh no, and I'm not talking about Geno.
35
I'm
mil?
off the Geno conversation.
That never happened, bro. I promise you.
The Geno conversation I'm not talking about.
All quarterbacks, once I give the franchise label, I want to see one full season of them with the playoffs if they get there, and then I'll give them the label. Like, I don't know why.
Because if you want to throw stones, again, last week we sat there and we bonded, we united over Daniel Jones, and with a Tua as well all season. You and I, we bonded. We united over Tua Tagovailoa. So again,
but I just never took that step.
Drew, it's what Kendrick Lamar said. When shit hits the fan, he's still a fan. You're not, Dehls. You're not a fan still. You're not.
Shit hasn't hit the fan for Mr. Hurts. I'm saying, Brady.
I'm waiting because when
I'm
waiting.
Nah, Hurts is gonna be cash.
No, he's good. He's good money. But when it happens,
your guys, Zach Wilson, Geno, all of them.
Joe Burrow, what's up with him? You laughed at me for saying he's better.
Don't do this.
You laughed. Dehls laughed at me for saying Joe Burrow over Justin Herbert just for our recent episode. He
got the number 1 overall pick right. He got the number 1 overall pick right.
Yeah, that's my guy. I got his LSU card. That's my guy. That's my guy.
That
I'm
shit
just
don't
glad you
move
didn't
me,
say
man.
Patrick Mahomes. If you would have said Patrick Mahomes, I would have belly laughed.
Nah,
at
Joe
you.
Burrow is the one that me putting him top 5. Y'all gave me a lot of pushback for that.
Nah, you got it.
We had him top 10. You had him top 5. So you got
For
it.
real,
Yeah,
I
you
had
said
him
he
at-
wasn't better than Matthew Stafford. I remember that. I remember that clearly. I remember that clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When Stafford won the Super Bowl and beat Joe Burrow,
You said Burrow. You
Okay.
said Burrow wasn't on the
Sick.
level of Herbert, and you just picked Burrow over him like the other day.
That was
I had
Joel.
What are you talking
I
about?
never felt more abandoned than in that moment. Right there.
What, when
I saw the
last
pain
week,
in your
last
in your
week.
face,
That shit hurt.
No,
That shit fucking hurt.
At some point, you got to take your L.
You might as well have taken the fucking sharpest knife that you own and fucking pop that shit right in my back.
You sometimes just got to take the L, keep it pushing. Right now, if you're taking Herbert over Burrow, I don't know what to tell you, man.
So shout out,
Stand on your own.
Shout out to the Giants for having a tremendous season, and shout out to the Eagles for once again beating a team that didn't belong in that category.
Well, what Drew said, it's hard to beat a division rival 3 times.
Yeah,
happened twice this postseason. Happened twice.
Yeah. On to the game we were originally going to talk about first: the Chiefs and Jaguars, 27-20. The Chiefs won, and I don't know about you guys, but I was watching the first quarter, and when Mahomes got injured, when he injured his ankle, it looked bad. I didn't think he was going to come back from that. I didn't.
I thought it was a knee injury. I didn't think it was an ankle injury.
I thought it was his ankle, then his leg. It kind of like, I don't know. It just, the angle of it just looked really bad. And I didn't think he was going to continue to play, but he finished the first quarter. So much respect to Mahomes. I give him so much respect. I think that was a legendary performance. I don't care what the stats say. Just for him to finish that game on a bum ankle, tape all the way through, not wanting to come out, I thought that was amazing. The Jags could not guard Travis Kelce. I mentioned it on the last football pod that the Jaguars are horrible against tight ends, and Travis Kelce had one of the most historic tight end performances against them. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes in the second quarter goes out, and Chad Henne holds it down. He had a near interception that Tyson Campbell, Oluokun didn't capitalize on. And then Isaiah Pacheco had that 40-yard run, which set up that Travis Kelce touchdown in the red zone.
Bailed out Mahomes.
Yeah, I thought the Chiefs, had Mahomes been healthy, would have won by so much more. I think the first drive they had, the opening drive where they scored, it was basically it was a foreshadowing of what was going to happen, but his injury limited him later in the game. It was obvious, but everybody stepped up. The defense was big time. They were getting pressure. The secondary was really good. Juan Thornhill had some really crucial pass breakups. The offensive line protected great. Pacheco ran great. Jerick McKinnon was awesome in pass pro. Travis Kelce, I mentioned him. And ultimately, mistakes in the playoffs come back to bite you. And I counted 3 crucial Jaguars mistakes that missed interception by Oluokun in the second quarter. And they also, I believe, I'm trying to remember the play. It was Christian Kirk on the
Christian Kirk drop. Yep.
Yeah, where he dropped a deep pass, and that could have been a walk-in touchdown.
Definitely.
It was definitely, it was on the money.
Even at a minimum 40 yards. At a minimum 40 yards.
Yeah, even if it's a field goal, you're in field goal range, you get those points up on a board. And then Trevor Lawrence in the fourth quarter, the interception that he had on like their second to last drive that kind of sealed the game, where I thought, from what I saw, they were playing cover 2. So I didn't know why he took that chance. I didn't think it was a great decision. He had a near interception before that on a similar look, but I thought the biggest mistake was Jamal Agnew fumbling in the red zone. That right there was the biggest mistake. And had it not been for that, the entire game could have changed.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Another one.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Ken. Go ahead, Brody.
No, do your thing. I want to hear about you and your Chiefs and how you were coping, bro.
Listen, it's no surprise. I was rooting for the Jaguars. I did pick the Chiefs because I did feel like it should have been the Chiefs all the way. But of course, I mean, a fan can hope that Mahomes could get picked. But I by no means wanted Mahomes to get injured. As a fan of the sport, you never want to see a player like Mahomes go down. To see him go down, I was talking to my dad about it. It was hard to see, and it was hard to sit through because, of course, you don't want to beat the Chiefs without Mahomes. You want to beat Mahomes at full strength to really give yourself that full accomplishment. And for him to go out for a little while, it did suck to see. But I'm with you, Joel. The resiliency that he showed to get back onto the field, to play, even though it wasn't the same level of play that we saw prior to the injury. He looked like Mahomes that we've known and seen. Season and basically his entire career scrambling around the pocket, making stuff happen. tweeted it, and it's 100% facts. Even when you think you have Mahomes, you don't, because he's getting the ball out and he's making something happen out of nothing. And 100% what I said is fact. I cannot fucking stand him for it. It pisses me off every single time. Because, right, of course, you think you got the sack. You're hyped. The defense gets up. Finally, you get a stop against Mahomes. Nope. He's Houdini. He makes something happen. But, of course, that injury definitely did change the landscape of the game. One event that you just did not mention, of course, just an oversight, the Jamal Agnew fumble right at the red zone, right at the goal line, essentially. He makes a good catch, turns upfield, turns to go to the goal line, just pops out of his hands. That could have been a game changer right there. Off the top of my head, one of you guys, do you guys know, would that have been to tie the game, or would that have been to bring it within 3? I'm pretty sure it would have been to bring it within 3, correct?
Yeah, it wasn't to tie.
Yeah, it would
All
have
right,
been
I
to
thought-
bring it within 3.
Yeah.
So, and that was brutal, because that was right after Trevor Lawrence goes, scrambles for the first down, puts his head down, goes through the defender. I mean, Trevor gave his everything to it, and then Jamal Agnew goes and fumbles the ball. That was brutal. You mentioned the Trevor Lawrence INT. Great play by the defender. He got up there, made a very good snag, but I don't love that decision by Trev. The pressure was in his face. He just kind of forced that ball there. He definitely did not need to do that, but that was the game. That was the seal. I think the game was lost when Agnew fumbled the ball, but they did get another chance with a little less time, of course, but not the ideal situation. But credit to the Chiefs, absolutely. Andy Reid, another masterful performance. I mean, he does this week in, week out. It's nothing new. Travis Kelce, one of the best tight ends this game's ever seen, continues his run of being one of the most dominant tight ends ever. And Mahomes, again, to stay in the game with an obvious injury that was halting him, that showed that he definitely was going through some extreme levels of pain. He's a football guy. I mean, what else can you say about Mahomes? As a guy who does not like to praise him, I'm doing a lot of it right now because he's deserved that after today's performance, no doubt.
That's why he clears Pam Manning.
Damn.
I mean, I'm not. What am I going to comment on when that's a full statement? Of course.
Not yet, but he might. 5 straight AFC Championship games for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. 5 straight.
Crazy.
The second he started to today, he's been the AFC Championship. I mean, it's dominance it's really only comparable to like the Pats. Like what he's doing right now is ridiculous. This run that they're on is unbelievable, and it just really feels like it doesn't matter what receivers are going to be there, what running back, the offensive line, the defense. They're going to have a million combinations, and every year they're going to be in the conference championship. Every year they're going to be fighting for the 1 seed, and every year they're going to be fighting for championships. That's just how special Mahomes and Andy Reid are. This really felt like, again, similar to the Giants and the Eagles game, where it was just a lack of talent, man. Like, this Jaguars team is fun. It's exciting. Next year you get Calvin Ridley back. So you have some promise, and you're going to have cap space and draft picks, obviously, to keep building on the team. They're not ready for it, man. That's fine. We said it at last week's episode, like, to go into Kansas City and win this game, you're asking a ton from a really young team with a second-year quarterback, no matter how great Trevor Lawrence is going to be. And there's a chance he ends up being 1-2 with Mahomes, 2-3 years from now. We could be talking about them as the 2 best quarterbacks in the league, even with guys like Josh Allen and Burrow. That's how special Trevor Lawrence is going to be one day, and he showed it last week against the Chargers. Not his best game today, but I mean, you go from playing in Jacksonville to playing in Kansas City, probably the loudest stadium he's been in, probably louder than any college stadium he's been in those championship games. It's one of the hardest places to play in the entire NFL. So I wasn't expecting anything crazy out of him. Credit to the Jaguars. They fighted, they competed. Henne had a great drive too. Chad Henne goes 98 yards, the longest drive in Kansas City postseason history.
It's a plug and play with Kansas City.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Chad Henne's won 2 big games for them, right? Did against the Browns, I did against the Jaguars. So yeah, credit to them.
Throw me in there. I'll win a game.
Yeah, maybe. But the Chiefs are just dominant, man. They're a dynasty. They're a dynasty.
Interesting. Credit to the Jaguars. I kind of look at them like the Giants in the sense where a young team, bright team, started off the year, wasn't really supposed to be here, beat the Chargers after being down by 20, and now putting up a fight with the Chiefs. Kind of like how the first game they played, turnovers kind of hurt this team again. They wasn't disciplined. But young team, Trevor Lawrence is going to be special, like Dehls mentioned it, but it's really just a lack of talent. The Chiefs can just plug in and put anybody out there, and they will be successful. I remember a couple of us didn't have the Chiefs winning the division We look like fools. You know, we didn't have them going back to the AFC Chip. Me and Dehls had the Chargers, so we both look like fools. You know, so it's just credit to Mahomes, credit to Andy Reid. If you have Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, you will be fine. No matter who's on the other side, who's a receiver, they will be great. Unfortunately, that run of going to the final Super Bowl will end. It will definitely end this year. I think we all know that. Well, some of us know that it will definitely end. But credit to the Jaguars. You know, they're a young, bright team, like you mentioned. They get Calvin Ridley back. That defense has some potential. They have their coach of the future. They have their quarterback of the future. And when you have those two things, that's a beautiful thing to see. And the Chiefs, I look at them more like they're the Warriors of this era. You know, bright, exciting, fun to watch. The new cheery team. So you got to give them credit where credit is due. They are just running over the division and running over the AFC time and time again.
And shout out to that Kansas City defense, too. That defense had not been playing well first game of the postseason against a red-hot Jacksonville team. Credit to them because they had a great game plan.
Two of the things that I thought was going to show up in this game were special teams for KC, and that might have cost them. It definitely cost them some big plays against Jamal Agnew. Jamal Agnew, he had that fumble in the red zone. Definitely hurt them for sure. But he put them in a lot of favorable field position because his returns were so great. And Harrison Butker, he's been struggling for most of the year to be 2 out of 2 from field goal range and hit his field goals
today. That
was big time, and they need him to play like that. The Jaguars, I don't view them like the Giants. They're more talented than Giants. They have a legit superstar quarterback. Doug Peterson is there. Coaching, it is similar. I think the Jaguars have a lot of talent, and they can grow from this. You have Christian Kirk long term. You're going to get back Calvin Ridley. The offensive line is solid. Trevor Lawrence is a superstar top 7, 8-ish quarterback in the NFL. And the defense is good. You know, they have their moments, but Tyson Campbell is cornerback 1. That defensive line with Josh Allen and Arden Key and Trayvon Walker is pretty solid. So I like their team. I like their future. And they're definitely going to be a team to watch because the AFC South is not a division that is difficult. You know, this could be the Jaguars division for 2 seasons until the Texans complete their rebuild, because I do think the Texans, they draft the right quarterback. They have the pieces in the draft capital to be very good. But yeah, you know, they're not the Chiefs though. And we know what the Chiefs are because they have Patrick Mahomes, my favorite player in the NFL. I have a t-shirt of him in my house right now. And
doesn't move me one bit.
He's one of my favorite players. 2019, you know, I called it. Mahomes is just my guy. It's as simple as that. And there's a reason why they've been to 5 straight AFC championships is because he's that good. Andy Reid is amazing. Yes, with Patrick Mahomes, you lose your wide receiver number 1, and your tight end has a historic season, has a historic playoff game. Your wide receiver is not even in the playoffs. You have a better year offensively without the best wide receiver.
He was in the
playoffs.
NFL.
And
cut it out.
You know, with Mahomes, I know that a lot of this stuff when we talk about him gets cliche because we know he's talented. We know he's great. We know he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Doesn't matter about the longevity. We know his skill set. He is that. But Mahomes' toughness and competitiveness, and we don't talk about that enough when we talk about these superstar quarterbacks. For him to get hurt and for him to be limping and to still want to play, that is a different level of competitive. That's a different level of fire. And that's why he's so great, because he cares about the game that much. And I just thought it was awesome. Legendary performance by him. That's my guy.
This shit can't go on too much longer, man.
This fuckery won't go on for too long.
This fuckery gotta end at some point, man.
We're talking about Mahomes or Joel?
Joel.
No,
okay, just
no,
I don't know. I thought
for
Drew
me,
might have
Joel. I
Mahomes.
don't care about the Mahomes shit. Joel, this fuckery can't go on for too long.
With Mahomes, what are you talking about, Mahomes?
You have your top players are the 10 best quarterbacks in the NFL. You literally you can't lose.
There's some top 10 quarterbacks that I'm not a fan of.
Oh, Lamar?
Yeah, not the biggest fan of him.
Jalen Hurts?
Not the biggest fan of him.
Dak Prescott?
Your biggest fan of him?
I'm a fan of him, not a biggest fan of him.
Oh, crazy.
I like that.
You literally own the top 4 guys.
No. You're done. This statement, I'm going to remember it for the next show. God forbid Dallas loses, because I'm not the biggest fan of him. I'm a fan of his because immediately guys expect it. Dallas loses. Dak plays mid. This is who we just know Dak is.
Yeah.
You can't trust Dak.
Dak is going to win the game, and he's going to play well.
All right.
We're gonna be back here tomorrow. We're gonna be back here right after the game, recapping, and you guys know where to find us. Yeah, we'll be back here. And listen, Dehls, I'm watching you, Mr. Flippity Flip. You've been flipping a lot lately. I'm watching you.
Joel, you're gonna have to fix your reputation, bro.
They're just on my body. Hey,
I'm
8
watching.
and
When I'm
0.
aware of it,
8-0. Catch up, fellas.
You know what it is, Joel?
Yeah.
You keep touching him during the show. You're giving him your energy, the flip aside energy.
No.
That's probably what I'm doing.
Bro.
But if people, I think that Dehls is getting the treatment of what it feels like to be flip aside. Because I know that there are times where Dehls is like, why are they calling me out on this? It was just a change of opinion with new evidence. Yeah.
I don't
right?
know what the Burrow.
That's
If you
what
want to
it
say
is.
the Burrow and Herbert shit, okay, I get that.
It's
Other
so
than that,
funny.
I feel like I've been solid.
It's so funny because I listen to other hosts and podcasters that have to deal with the same thing. And recently they've been dealing with a lot of pushback from commenters about, them changing their opinion or their stance on something. And they're like, once you have new evidence, it's a change of opinion. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what it is. And
You
Dell
just
felt
flip
that with Herbert
you
and
just
Burrow.
flip like every couple weeks. Like I flip. It took me like a year to flip there, bro. Like I
if you're gonna
it did
flip,
not.
you
A
have to stay
year?
on that side.
Bro,
If you're gonna
a year,
flip, you have to stay.
I might switch back to
Drew,
Herbert. Who knows?
Drew,
And no one's gonna do
we
anything about it.
We gonna let Dell's get away with this. He said it took him a year to flip from
No.
Herbert to Burrow. It took
No,
like
we are
a
not.
week,
We are
bro.
not. We are not letting him get away with
We
this.
would have asked
No
you
way, no
we would have
fucking
asked
how.
you week 8. You was like Herbert clears Burrow, bro. We not gonna cap.
That's why I said it took a year. Because at week 8, I wouldn't have flipped off that opinion, but it took me a full year. I was like, okay.
Week 8 is like bro, that was like 2 months ago.
I know. I said, give me the whole year. That's I kind of been preaching that this whole time, and everyone wants these instant reactions because that's what Mr. Moran over here.
That's our business, brother. That's our business.
I don't fall for the trap, man. You guys.
Our business is instant reactions.
One thing's true. I haven't flipped on Burrow. I haven't flipped on Tua. I haven't flipped on Daniel Jones. That's what matters to me. You did flip on
Burrow. You did flip on Burrow, but we're gonna let that one slide.
I flipped on Burrow.
Listen, your most popular video before I was on Pick a Side. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Ooh.
Yes, it was a.
I'm just
Justin
gonna leave it
Herbert
at that.
Burrow praise. Yes, y'all could watch it back. And at that time, as rookies, I thought Herbert was more impressive, no doubt. But Joe Burrow has been my guy. I got his rookie card. He's been my guy. So that's
he's got Burrow's rookie card. He's got a Patrick Mahomes shirt.
Yes.
He's
Drew
got a
Brees
Cowboys
autobiography.
This is nuts.
I like the greats.
I
need that energy to feed off me.
Wrap it up.
I can't have the Daniel Jones Tua energy on me.
Bro, like no
underdog. I gotta rep the greats.
Daniel Jones 2 energy is what can make you legendary. When you ride for the side that people don't agree with and it becomes into fruition, that's when people respect and acknowledge. Not that Mahomes shit. The Burrow, I could feel you a little bit. I mean, that's a solid pick right there. Although he was the number 1 overall selection. Joe's 100% right.
There's been a lot of number 1 overall picks.
And
not all.
And that's why
so you got a point there.
That's why I've been winning with Mr. Irrelevant, because you ride with the story.
Yo, Rev, see this. Yo, 100.
I cashed out my money on him on Mojo. I just want to.
You folded.
You're not a man.
We're getting rich tomorrow.
We're gonna see. I got the Dallas Cowboys, baby. Yeah, let's go Cowboys. We going crazy tomorrow, and I'm gonna wear my.
Crazy to wear my my Zeke jersey tomorrow.
You also this fuckery can't keep going.
Baby.
I love Zeke.
This shit.
Yeah, they were talking crazy about me all episode. Like they don't got their own problems.
They have 12 jerseys by 12 different players and 12.
I own jerseys because I love players. If y'all are team guys, y'all could really open your third eye, boy. Come on.
Bro just said, should I wear my Dak jersey? For what?
My Zeke jersey because I love him. Because I love him. And he might not even be relevant in tomorrow's game.
No, he won't be.
Andrew Thomas jersey. I'm talking about a Zeke jersey.
Yeah.
My name's Andrew Thomas. Like, come on.
Oh, shut it. It's the Giants.
He's mad I just made perfect sense.
It's the Giants.
His name's Andrew Thomas.
You're calling them a team of destiny 3 days ago.
That would have been awesome, man.
No, that
would have been awesome.
Now,
it would have been cool as fuck.
It's because Drew follows stories. When Philly was up 3-0 in the playoffs, the Raptors.
If you don't ride with your heart, what
that was a horrible. That also was another L.
What was the L? What was it?
Raptors coming back from 3-0.
Hey, almost. All fucking most.
Nah, Drew roots for stories and the underdogs. I like it. It's cool. I stick with the greats.
Man. I mean, it's more fun.
Bro just sticks with the minus 600 favorites.
The Jets don't give me satisfaction. I need to find it somewhere else.
The minus 600 line is hilarious. Yo, that's some good shit right there.
This is going to do it for the divisional round recap. Saturday, we're going to record tomorrow night on Sunday after the Bills-Bengals game and the 49ers-Cowboys game. We'll see you then. Thank you guys for watching.